Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Five Nights at Freddy 2, the sequel to the 2023 film that was somewhat of a surprise hit back in 2023. I wasn't expecting much from it, being as though I'm not a player of the game that this film franchise is based on, but I really did enjoy Five Nights at Freddy. And so the sequel, when it was announced, I was a little excited for it, to be honest with you. Plus, just like its predecessor, the first film, it was filmed in my hometown, and I got to witness a couple of scenes. Actually, one. That's all one scene being filmed for this movie. So I was super excited for that aspect, but I was anticipating this movie. This film returning to direct is Emma Tammi, who directed the first film, and it stars yet again Josh Hutcherson. And Five Nights at Freddy 2 is set 1 year after the first film. It follows Abby as she reconnects with her animatronic friends, leading to the events that reveal the origin of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. As I stated before, Five Nights at Freddy's, which came out in 2023, I enjoyed. Was it a Oscar snub that year? No. It wasn't on the top 10 list of anybody's best of the year that year, but it was a fun movie. It knew what it was, and it leaned into it what it was, and you enjoyed it for that. It was campy and cheesy and whatnot, and you enjoyed it for that. And I really enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's. So did millions of others. That's why they greenlit a sequel. And so you think you would get the same kind of formula that you got in the first film? Now, I know sequels tend to go bigger and better. At least they try. Not all sequels work, but uh, at least the attempt is there to make it bigger and more grander. The stakes are higher. The special effects are better, and there's more action and things of that nature. But when we get to Five Nights at Freddy 2, I don't know what I was watching. I have no idea what this movie was. I don't get this movie. I really scratched my head. I don't know, man. It was like I had to go to therapy, and not because it drove me insane or anything, but I had to get my head checked to see if something was wrong with me, because it felt like I fell asleep through 70% of this movie and didn't realize I fell asleep, because if it was so bland and boring and the story went absolutely nowhere. I'm like, wait, did I miss something? When once we got to the end of this movie, I'm like, did I miss something? And is this supposed to be like this? Because this movie had the audacity to give you twist, and give you a little ending that obviously sets up a third film in this franchise. It's like, what did I watch? I don't see where none of this adds up. None of this makes sense. We start off good. We start off the opening scene, which was a flashback, and I'm like, okay, they're setting up the story. We see a little origin story, which wasn't really an origin story, but cool. The film is going to try to go a little deeper, a little darker, I must say, than the first film. We're going to go down some roads that we didn't witness in the first film, as far as a darker tone. And that's not what this franchise, and it's weird to say that because there's only one film to reference here, and that's the first one. But that's not what this film needs. It didn't need to go down this darker route. That's not what I'm looking for when I see Five Nights at Freddy's. I want to see camp. We're talking about animatronic, possessed animatronic things that run around and kill people. It's pretty simple premise, you know. It's not rocket science. So trying to go deeper into this lore that just went all over the place, I felt it was unnecessary, and it muddied the waters as far as the story is concerned. Our lead character, I don't even think he was the lead. Josh Hutcherson had absolutely nothing to do with this movie. Absolutely nothing to do in this film. And I like Josh Hutcherson. He's an actor that I feel is slightly underrated. I feel he should be bigger than what he is. You know, coming off the Hunger Game films with Jennifer Lawrence and all that, I thought he would be bigger than what he is, but he's not. And it's sad. You know, I know he's on that HBO show, I Love LA, recently, kind of having a resurgence in his career along with these Five Night films, which is cool, you know, because he deserves the recognition. But I need him to be bigger than this. But this film isn't going to help him because this film did nothing for Josh Hutcherson or anybody else associated with it. We had a kind of a reunion, even though they didn't reunite on screen, but we had a reunion of the original killers from the first Scream film. You know, Matthew Lillard was in the first film. He was the main baddie. He reprises his role in this film as a presence or whatever, or I don't even, once again, I don't even know what was the purpose there. But you get Skeet Ulrich in this film, who was the other kid. He played Billy in Scream. And I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Useless, wasted. He was in one scene. Wasted. I know I'm probably spoiling stuff, but who cares? This was a wasted film. It was wasted. I didn't get it. And everything was there. You had everything there, but it's like they got lost along the way. And it's really sad to see that happen because, look, I'm not looking for an MCU type franchise that will last 30 films and all this out of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. But I am looking for something that's, you know, kind of a throwback horror that I grew up watching in the 80s. You know, there's just silly, campy horror films, you know, with murder and mayhem and plunder. That's all I wanted to see. But that's not what we got here. You know, we don't even get the animatronics till halfway in the movie. The first half of the film, you barely see any of the animatronics. Useless. Useless. That's the whole point of going to see the movie. The first film set up everything you needed. You didn't need to spend half of this film setting up a story that really didn't have to be told. Now, I'm saying all this. I didn't play the games. Maybe this fits into the events of one of the games in the series. I think I read somewhere it's based off of the second game or the third game, maybe. I don't know. It is based off of one of the games, storyline wise. And if that's the case, fine. You know, fans of the game probably enjoyed it, and I hope that they do. But for the novice like me, who's going in blind, I didn't get it. I was lost, and I wanted to get it. That's the part that hurts. I wanted to get it, and the job of the filmmakers is to make those who didn't play the games want to be engaged in the movie. You know, like, okay, I can get on board with this, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. It wasn't for me. Now, with all that being said, like I said, they set up a third film. If they make a third movie, if this film is successful and they make a third one, I'm probably going to watch it, you know, just to see what happened. Because it seems like a continuation. The way it played out, you know, when the movie ends, you're like, that's it? You know, it's one of those, but we didn't get it to be continued at the end. It was just, that was that, you know. That was that. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're gonna rock with. You know, we're setting up the third film. And they really didn't set it up till literally the last scene of the movie. Now, have they planted seeds throughout to kind of, you know, get your blood boiling and your anticipation rising for a third movie? Maybe I would have felt a little better, but it was like thrown at you at the very end of the movie. Literally, the last scene of the movie. All these little plot points just came out of nowhere. And then that twist. I don't care. I don't care if you're a fan of the game or whatever. That so-called twist. And you got to see, I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Where did that come from? I mean, why is that even there? None of that was ever set up. It was just, oh, hey, here I am. And it's like, oh, it's you. You live in a small town. Look, I just, it didn't work for me. Now, there were some positives. There were some positives, believe it or believe it or not. There were some funny moments. They had a little funny moment here or there. The performance of the young actress who plays Abby Piper Rubio, I thought she did good. She was decent for the role that she was given. That's it. That's it. The kills, they had a couple of kills in here that were pretty cool. That's it. I have nothing else. I have nothing else to give. This movie was disappointing to say the least, but you know, if you're not looking for anything from this movie, you probably be all right. I was kind of looking for fun, you know, because everybody came back, all the in front of and behind the camera. I thought that you know, it would be it would have that carry that same tone as the first one, but no, this is a completely different tone from the first film. And you know, Blumhouse, this is the second time they've done that this year. You know, Megan, I enjoyed Megan, the first one. I enjoyed it. And then we get to Megan 2 that came out earlier this year, and it was a completely different tone than the first film. And it was sad to say the least, and you know, not good. And so they did the same thing here. They just switched the tone. I don't know what Blumhouse is doing over there, but they need to stick to what's working. Don't change it up. Just stick to what's working. But anyways, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 gets a letter grade of a D+. Yeah, it wasn't all that good. And the only reason it got an F because I really wasn't expecting much, but I was expecting a little something. You know, just keep me engaged for an hour and a half. And it didn't do that. Sadly, it didn't do that. But that's just one man's opinion. I would like to know, what did you think of Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it? How did you feel about the first one? Are you excited for a third one if they make it? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.